songs don't have bridges no more. It's just the bridge. Red says having Aaliyah. What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Welcome to Life According to Creed, the podcast. As always, I am your host, Cree Cole, and I got a topic for y'all today. But let me go ahead and do some of this business. Do some of this business. As I have been putting on my website as well as on social media, there are approximately 240,000 to 250,000 cases of breast cancer diagnosed in the United States each year by both men and women. And in solidarity with those who have been diagnosed and get receiving treatment, as well as the survivors of breast cancer, Life According to Cree will be um, I'm selling merchandise. Um, it is something that is near and dear to my heart because some of you may know, some of you may not know that my father is a cancer survivor, not necessarily breast cancer, but a cancer survivor. So in solidarity with those people who have been affected, their families, because it not only affects the person who is diagnosed, it is a family, it is a family diagnosis in which you have to stick together. So make sure um, with within tow with Life Free and loving yourself first with Life the brand. I am selling merchandise. Say I am selling merchandise. Hey, what's up, y'all? Let me wait. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Life According to Cree, the podcast. I am your host, Cree Cole. And I got a topic for y'all today because I got some stuff I need to get off my chest and I got some questions that I need answered and et cetera, et cetera. But first, let me get down to this business. There are 240 to 250 cases of breast cancer reported in the United States each and every year. Each and every year. Um, and in observance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month and being mindful of your body, making sure that you're getting your yearly checks, ladies. Making sure that you have things addressed when you notice things that are going on differently in your body, throughout your body, not only your breast. Gentlemen, when you feel something different within this area, going to go get it checked. In observance of that, you can go out and, in terms of loving yourself first and making sure that you make yourself a priority. Um, we have merchandise at Life the Brand, at the Life Shop at www.lifeaccordingtocree.org under our online exclusives. Now through October 31st, all Life the Brand merchandise is 15% off with any purchase of $25 or more, along with free shipping. So, you say, in solidarity with those who got a family member, it is a family diagnosis. It not only affects that person, but it also affects the people around them. So if you would like to purchase an item, please feel free to do so. Here's a sample right here. So make sure you go and cop that. It is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in accordance and in partnership with the Coalition for Domestic Violence, we also have merchandise that I will put on all of my social media, or is currently on all of my social media platforms. Um, because say the should say one of four. Um, say is one of four, no excuses. Um, and that is the theme for this month. Um, at the end of each episode, there will be and also on my social media, there will be statistics that you can follow and research on the matter. One out of four individuals, I won't just say women, individuals in the United States report cases of domestic violence, partner violence, etc. in the United States each and every year. Each and every year. Um, and in solidarity with those victims, those survivors, we also have merchandise available on the website. 104 is also under the tab online exclusives. So make sure you check that out. Um, and also under our news and tips section of lifeaccordingtocreed.org, there is information in regards to um, safe spaces in which you can talk about, you know, those types of situations, information on people that you can contact for assistance and help. Do not stay silent. Um, Make sure that you are speaking out and you are doing what is best for you. You understand me? So, like I was saying, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. These are all issues that the affect my audience along with um people throughout the world. So let's be more mindful. We can keep up with the Kardashians, we can keep up with all the celebrity gossip, but make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Also make sure that we're looking out for ourselves. Um and family, if you see it, say something. If you see it, say something. Every now and again, sometimes we just we want to be seen. Sometimes we don't feel seen, and once we felt seen, we a lot of times once we felt seen, we have the ability, or we get the strength to speak out and tell our stories. So make sure that you do that. And but on another note, let's get to the topic of the week. And thank you all for tuning in each and every week. I love y'all for that. I really, really do. But this week's topic, yeah, and I might be a little messy, but bear with me. Love me or leave me, baby. Love me or leave me. I have watched a lot. I say I consume a lot of social media because I am engulfed in social media. I'm a part of social media. And within a past couple of weeks, there has been a lot of conversation. And I don't know if it's because it's starting to get towards the holidays, and people start getting a little bit more in their feelings about whether or not they have a mate, want a mate, etc., what this person is doing, holding on to people because it's the holiday, etc. All kinds of stuff. But there is a lot of conversation in regards to whether or not staying in a relationship is the most healthiest thing to do when the relationship no longer serves all of the needs that you need served. Um, I had a roaring conversation, and make sure you follow me on TikTok at lifeaccordingtocreed.org. Life According to Creed. That is my handle on all social media platforms. Displayed right down here at the bottom of the screen. Um, but I was in a heated debate via TikTok with some ladies and gentlemen who all feel that because everybody's different, nobody is the same, everybody's tolerance level is different for different things. While I may say I don't tolerate infidelity, cheating, etc., under any circumstances, and that is a breaking point for me. There are other people who have their reasons for why that isn't their breaking point, and the reasons why, even though they may experience those things, they stay. Now, do I necessarily agree or disagree? No, because I think it is actually on a case by case basis. A lot of times we try to make generalizations as far as if this happens, this should happen. If that happens, that should happen. And the world is not that black and white. The world has never been that black and white. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's scenarios are different. But we're gonna go through a couple of different things as far because the name of this podcast is Life According to Cree. So it is slighted by my own personal opinions and my own personal experiences. So with me, I'm gonna start off with there are there are situations in which I feel like you can survive. You can survive infidelity within your marriage. You can survive a lack of commitment in your relationship. But I think that one of the things that we have to be very clear about is what type of relationship that we're in. A lot of times we just say, I'm in a relationship. As I've delved into multiple times, there are different types of relationships. There are different ships. The same way that there are different ships that cast the sea, there are different ships that you are in as a human being. And having complete clarity in those situations can help a lot with the hurt feelings and things that we experience when dealing with the opposite sex, whether we're male, female, or otherwise. A lot of times we misrepresent, people misrepresent to us what we're doing, or we interpret what we're doing incorrectly, which causes us to be in a state of confusion. You know, you going around saying that he or she cheated on me, and the two of you were never together. You were never in a romantic relationship. You were never in a committed relationship. So we're gonna cover the single stuff first, and then I'm gonna get into y'all married folks, because y'all married folks seem to think that once you get married, that puts you on a different echelon as far as commitment and things are concerned, which it does, but then again it doesn't. So let's get into it. Um, with my single folks, we're gonna go back over it again because there are levels to this dating thing. There are levels to it. No matter how you feel about it, whatever level of dating you are on, that is the level of dating you are on. What you agree to is what you say, what you're saying you are willing to accept. When you first meet somebody, that quote unquote talking stage is literally just that, and you should treat it as such. You should treat it as such. You are talking. You say we just talking. We talking. You say we friends. We're friends. That means there is no sex. If I wouldn't sleep with my homegirl Shia, nigga, I ain't sleeping with you either. Cause she my friend, and that's what friend. That's not something that me and my friends do. That's not something that me and my friends do. And you have to set boundaries, and you have to set what your boundaries are. Because while the two of you are talking, while you're in your quote unquote talking stage, there's really not any room for you to feel jealous. You can feel jealous, but it doesn't have to be acknowledged. There doesn't have to be any changes made by the other person because you are. That person does not owe you anything. That person has not made any promises to you. That person is not dedicated to you. That person is not committed to you. You are literally just talking. So what you do while you're in that stage does fall back completely on you. I don't care what they're telling you. If in order to get to the next stage from talking to exclusively dating requires you to do XYZ, and it's something and you're not comfortable with XYZ, but you do it anyway, and you don't get elevated or promoted to that next level, On that note, that's a you problem. During the talking stage, anything that occurs is a you problem. I don't care what else is going on. I don't care what he or she says. While you both of you are still acknowledging that you are in a talking stage, this person could do whatever they want. They could talk to whoever else they want. They could see whoever else they want. They can have a whole dating situation going on. They can do whatever they want. How you deal with them is on you. Yes, one of the it's one of them episodes because we try to come up with excuses all the time as to why we ended up in the situation that we're in. Where if we set boundaries based on fact, based on fact and not fiction, based on what we see versus what we feel, especially when we're first getting to know people, it could avoid a lot of stress and pain and confusion later on. You don't want to be in a talking stage with somebody for 6 months. You shouldn't be in a talking stage with somebody 10 months in and y'all still talking. And the honest thing is, if there is no other physical actions going on, it's not going to last that long. If you're not giving that person, if that person wants more of you, and in order to get more of you, you have certain specifications that they have to meet, and they're not willing, and you're not moving, guess what? You won't be in a talk. Y'all won't be talking for a whole year if you treat a talking stage like what it should be treated like. You won't be. The next stage of it is actually dating. Guess what? When you're dating someone, you are not in a relationship. You're dating. That means that you are setting times to go out and spend time together. Now, how you choose to maneuver through your dating scenario, again, is up to you. That does not mean that that person has to stop dating other people. That does not mean that you have to stop dating other people. You are just dating. You are getting to know what say you were getting to know that person while you were talking. Now you're getting to know that person and how that person interacts out in public with other people, with you and with other people. Is there actually a connection? Is there really a vibe? Are the two of you comfortable with each other? Because you don't want to live a life or be with someone and never be able to go out anywhere with them. This is how when you see whether or not they're willing to go out into the world with you. Because someone who's being honest with everybody across the board about their relationship status and that they're single, but they're out mingling and dating, they're not going to care if they run into somebody else that they've been on a date with. They're not going to be trying to avoid interaction or other people or who may see them or anything like that. If they are being honest across the board with everybody, if everybody is at the same level and this person is really living their life and maneuvering in that way, and that goes for men and women. If that man or woman is really telling people, this is, I'm single, I like you, I want to hang out with you or whatever, and I'm out here in the dating world. I'm trying to see what's what. Then if they're honest with everyone, then taking you out on a date ain't a problem. It's not a matter. I'm real funny. And like I said, everything's gonna be shaped toward my opinion because this is life according to Cree. I'm real funny about people that don't want to be seen. If you tell me that you're single, you tell me that you don't have any emotional, physical ties to anyone, you just want to go out and experience life, you want to enjoy yourself, etc., then being outside with me taking a picture and you happen to have been in the background or me being at your house and people can see your drapes, things like that are non-issue. And I can tell you that from personal experience. I have literally been in the dating world and not committed to anyone, personal choice, but I have been in the dating world for, I'll say actively since 2019. And the people that I have met, the men I have met that were really single, not lying to nobody, we had a great time together. There might have been other factors that played into it where we realized that we weren't a match, or we neither one, or I wasn't ready for what he was ready for, or he wasn't ready for what I was ready for. But there were no conflicts as far as whether or not we were seen together. There were no conflicts as far as, you know, cell phone device use, or him telling me I'm just real, real private. Because see, here's my thing about that privacy thing while I'm here. This is my thing about the privacy thing. Anything that a person is proud of in 2023, I don't want to hear nothing about the way people used to do stuff, because that ain't where we at. This is where we are right now. We are in the land of social media. We are in the world of social media. Social media is a part of everyday life, from keeping in touch with people from your past, keeping in touch with people in your present. If you got a business, that is the way people get their businesses out there. If anything is going on with school, work, educate, your higher education, whatever it's done through social media. So let's let go of that trope, that or that myth that you can do things and I'm just gonna stay off of social media. I mean, you can stay off social media, but it's not serving you, or it's not keeping you away from the real life day-to-day things that happen. If you really sit in your own space and feel like if you post something on social media, or if you post your significant other on social media, that is going to cause an issue within your relationship, one of two things: you're not actually in a relationship and you know it. You know it. You played a part, but you know you're not really in one. Or there are other issues that you need to address, and social media is the last of them. Um, I don't care whether or not I get posted on social media with the situations that I am in, because I'm not committed to any of those people. But if I am committed, if it advances to a committed relationship, which dating is not a committed relationship, it's just dating. Nobody owes anybody anything. You don't owe anyone your body. Gentlemen and ladies, you don't have the right to request to have parts of that person's body. Um, what you do have the right to do is to hang out, enjoy each other, and see whether or not that works for you. The next stage is exclusively dating. This is when you decide that, okay, I'm not dating anyone but you. This is when you cut other people off. This is when you say, okay, then I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be talking to nobody else. You and I are exclusively dating. We are out here. Guess what? You still not in the committed relationship. What you did do is decide that I am going to focus all of my attention on you. Once you become exclusive, you're exclusively dating one another. That is when you say, okay, I'm going to put all my time and my effort into you. Me and you have both agreed that this is what we are going to do. If people would just go with those three first classifications, we would never make it. We would never make it to the commitment. Because that's when people gonna show you. People gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm down with it, or I'm not down with it. If they are not down with it and that is what you are down for, yes, there are times when you are supposed to make compromises in order to make things work. That comes once you get into a committed relationship. Before you get a committed relationship, you don't have to compromise on a daggone thing. Men or women, you don't have to compromise on anything that's concerning you. If you're dating each other and that person says, you go to them and you're like, okay, like I want to, I want to see where this goes. I want to seriously see where this goes. That don't mean that they go into a committed relationship. No, you begin exclusively dating each other. See, y'all be skipping steps. and everything, and you're asking for a committed relationship right after dating, and the two of you haven't even had a chance of experiencing each other without other people being involved. If you chose to stop dealing with everybody just because you started dating this person, that is on you. I the level the level that people would go to avoid accountability in their situations blows my mind. Blows my mind. Like, you can't blame that person because that person was still seeing people, and the two of you had no real foundation of what the two of you were doing. You can go out on 100 dates. You can go out on 100 dates. You could be all out of town with this person. You could be flying to Dubai. You could be going just to go chill and grab something to eat, sitting down at the McDonald's. He could be helping you pay bills. He could be showing up at your kid's game. All that stuff. If the two of you have not had a conversation where you have said clearly that we are exclusively dating or that we are in a committed relationship, you are not in one. You are not in one. This person can come to all of your family gatherings. This person can know all your friends, have conversations with your friends, have contacts for your friends. You can know all their family and all of that. Until the two of you sit down and have a specific conversation and define and agree to what the two of you are doing, you two are not doing that. You're not in a committed relationship. Until you have a conversation about being in a committed relationship, and just for precautionary purposes, tell them that you want to exclusively date first. Like, I want to be the only one. I want to be the only person that you're dating. I want to experience you when there's no other distractions. There's no outside noise. This is how I want to experience you. And ask them, be like, are you with it? Because you can't assume that just because the two of you are spending a lot of time together, that this person is not making time for other people. I'm going to tell you, I'm a living witness. A Moscow can be with you 7 days a week. There are only 7 days a week. A Moscow can be with you 7 days a week. But they will break their neck. They will break their neck, do leaps and bounds if that's what they want to do. If that's what they want to do, in order to give that other person that they like to an hour or two. If that is what they want to do, especially if there's no clarity or no definition. It may just be a matter of the fact that you and your situation is more convenient than that other person's. That other female might actually, but may be busy. She may not have the availability that you have. But when she has that availability, sis, and he's willing to risk losing them 7 days with you for them 2 to 4 hours with her. And if you're not in a committed relationship and you find out about it, if you don't like it, you have the ability and the right to leave that situation because it does not serve your purpose. It does not serve what you intended. You don't have to stay in it. You don't have to say, oh, well, yeah, we wasn't together, so I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stick with it. That is why you need clarity. Because if you're not exclusively dating and you haven't had a conversation saying that the two of you are going to be exclusive to each other and not see other people and experience each other without the outside noise, he or she is willing to do able to do whatever they want to do. Because they didn't make any promises to you. Doing things for you is not making promises to you. Doing things that you like is not making promises to you. There are people in this world that are very, very nice people. They are very palatable people. They are very flexible people. And if you are a part of their world, they're willing to do certain things in order to keep you in it. That doesn't mean that they're willing to, or that they are who you want to classify them as being. Once you start exclusively dating, if you get into an exclusively dating situation, there's only two ways it could go. Either y'all are gonna tune out everybody else, be focused on one another, and decide to commit to each other, or you're gonna say, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And then you go on about your business. You leave. You leave. You leave, you let it go. If you have feelings, you sort through those feelings. Like I said, you either love me or leave me. Love me or leave me. Now, in the event that you say, in the event that you two decide, you know what, I want to keep, this is when you find out whether or not you really want to keep doing this forever. You have spent time together. You have exclusively dated. You have done all of that. That is when he starts thinking about whether or not he wants to propose to you, because there's no outside noise. You got to get him to the point, or get her to the point where she no longer wants to hear the outside noise. This is when he gets the clarity. If you two never went through the proper steps of dating, then jumping into a committed relationship is going to be a transition, because guess what? Just because you fall in love with somebody doesn't make other people start being ugly. Just because you got into a committed relationship with someone doesn't make that coworker not smell good. Just because you got into a committed relationship doesn't make that person, that other person's struggle or the way that they live any less intriguing. What it does do is make a pact between you and that other person that you are going to choose one another every single time. No matter how that person smells, no matter how that person looks, no matter how intriguing or interesting that other person is. Being in a committed relationship is nothing other than an agreement to choose one another, no matter what. And still, once you're in a committed relationship, that still does not guarantee that you are going to end up in a marriage. Staying in, our biggest issue as far as relationships go is staying in them way too long. It's staying in them too long, waiting for that person to get it together, trying to work on ourselves while in that relationship, because we didn't work on anything before we got into it. And now these different situations keep arising, and we don't know how to manage it. So now we're down again, and now we got to be back up. And don't get me wrong, I don't care how much work you do, no matter how much leg work you do, you are never going to be completely prepared for every situation that arises in a relationship. You are not. You are not. But you can learn how to handle your triggers so that you can actually deal with what you have to deal with and not end up in an argument that sparks or triggers a whole bunch of other things about whether or not somebody ate a bagel out of the refrigerator and didn't save your bagel. You go from a bagel conversation to, and them being inconsiderate for eating your bagel, to they've always been inconsiderate. They never consider you, blah 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 blah. You know why you have to go all the way back through that. You have to go all the way back through that because you didn't address it when you were dating. You didn't address it when you were talking. You saw it, but you didn't address it. You didn't address it while y'all were dating, when y'all first started going out with each other and all that. You didn't address it when you got into your exclusive relationship either, because you didn't want to make waves because they wanted to be in a committed relationship with you. So you said this might not be something that's that bad, but guess what? It was still something that bothered you. It may not be something that's on the list the universal list of things that will break you. But guess what? It may be a part of your list in consideration. That might be an issue that something you don't like. And a lot of times we'll conform to the world's, what the world considers to be non-negotiables, instead of making our own set of non-negotiables. And we'll compromise based upon the world because we want what we see the world having. And now we're in a committed relationship because we decided that we love each other, and those things still make us unhappy or make us uncomfortable. And now we're addressing them now instead of addressing them in the earlier stages, because everything was so forced and so rushed. That's why you have to pace yourself. I can know in a month, whether or not month, 2 months, whether or not it's a possibility I can spend my entire life with somebody, if I like them enough to spend my entire life with somebody. But that's not enough time to get to know them at their high, at their lows, because lows come in different forms. There's no way to determine whether someone's going to cheat on you, but it does make a difference when you allow them time to sort through who they are and what they want and what type of relationship they want, whether or not they want to be in a committed relationship with you. When you have to allow, just because you want something doesn't necessarily mean that that person wants it in the time frame in which you want it. And if that is the case, you have the right to walk away. You have the right to leave. You should never be afraid to leave a situation because of the world standards. You have to set your own. You have to set your own. Everybody might not agree with them, but it's not a matter about whether or not they agree with them. It's a matter of whether or not you are okay with your decisions. That the point blank period. There's no other way around that. Another thing, once you get into the committed relationship, everybody's gonna automatically feel like it's leading to our marriage. Nobody's gonna think that it's leading in any other direction any other direction but marriage. No one should think that it's going in any other direction but marriage. But if you give yourself and that other person the time to go through the appropriate steps of dating, that's not something that you question. You're not engaged for 10 years. You're not, you don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend for 20 years. The same one for 20 years. It'll naturally, I feel like it will naturally and organically move into that space. I could say, I'll tell y'all, I was in my last relationship, I was in it for almost 7 years. We had graduated to being in a committed relationship. We lived together. We shared expenses together. We shared our kids together. Not kids that we had together, but kids that we had separately and brought together. We did everything together. We were in a committed relationship. And then it got to the point where I felt that we should be moving into the next phase of two people being together, which was being married. He was perfectly comfortable with being just in the committed relationship. And in retrospect, the reason that he was okay with just being in a committed relationship and he didn't want to move on to marriage was because there was absolutely nothing in marriage that would benefit him. Because I had made so many compromises during our committed relationship, and his fear of me no longer compromising with those things if we got married was a deal breaker for him. He's like, oh, if I get married, you're not going, if we get married, you probably ain't gonna forgive me for doing this or that. You're not gonna forgive me for doing this, for this other thing. You're not gonna be okay with me doing this or doing that. And while I can say I could sit up here and I could say that that was an issue. He was the problem. He should have been ready. He shouldn't have sat in it so long. That's messed up that he didn't want to let go of his way of life, blah, blah, blah. I can say that. But the reality of it is, had I not made him comfortable doing the things that he did while we were in a committed relationship, and I put my foot down and I said, no, and no, I'm not accepting this. And I was willing to, and if I was willing to leave or left when my boundaries were crossed, we would have never had a conversation about marriage ever. It would have never gotten that far for him to have the reaction that he had. He would have never had to tell me that had I not allowed my boundaries to be crossed and what I felt like a committed relationship should be. So I could be upset, mad with him because he didn't want to move on and be married and be together forever. But I can also respect the fact that he knew he wasn't going to do right. He knew that he wasn't going to make those changes that I was going to expect. He didn't know whether or not I was still going to be as understanding in certain situations as I had been since we had been in our committed relationship. And the gray area was gray area that I created. The things he did were very black and white. There was nothing gray. There's nothing gray about someone cheating. There's nothing gray about that. That's what you did. You made a decision to go outside of the relationship that you were in order to experience someone else. Whether that be emotionally, physically, whatever. Because people, define cheating in different ways. Some people feel like certain things are cheating that other people don't consider cheating. I consider a lot of things cheating that other people don't. And then there's some things that I don't consider cheating that other people will ring the alarm for. But because I did not have my boundaries set, well, I had the boundaries, but I did not have them set and I allowed them to be crossed. That defined what our version of a committed relationship was. I defined it. A lot of times our relationships are defined not so much by what we do in the light, but what we accept in the dark. A word. but just to say, like, that's a real thing. What our relationships, what defines our relationships? So not what's seen in the light, but what we accept in the dark. So you have to have the wherewithal and the strength to say, again, if this does not fall, now there are some things, some things are negotiable. If, and I'm going to say he because I date men, if he says he doesn't like the fact that you drink soda and won't drink any water, and you only like soda, you hate water. You'd be amazed at how many grown people I hear talk about how much they just hate water. They don't drink it. And then that's not something you compromise and say, you know what? I'm going to drink more water. Those are the types of things that we're talking about. Those are not the things that cause you to be 6-7 years into a marriage arguing over a bagel, a croissant, over the last drop of Kool-Aid. That turns into how you've been inconsiderate the entire relationship. Those aren't those kind of things. I'm talking about big things that make you uncomfortable, things that make you have butterflies in your stomach. Because unbeknownst to popular belief, but having butterflies in your stomach is not a sign of, oh my God, they're the one. No, but having butterflies in your stomach is an anxiety. It's an anxiety reaction that you definitely need to address as soon as you feel it, and try to figure out why you're feeling it. Because it's not about that. The butterflies in your stomach aren't about the other person. The butterflies in your stomach, that uneasiness is all about you. So it's a matter of love me or leave me. Don't allow people to take you so far into take you so far out of your own character, what you need, what you want, what's going to make you comfortable, what's going to make you feel safe, what's going to make you feel secure and seen, in order to have someone. And don't rush it. People are in such a hurry. They go so they like they used to say back in the day, you put the cart before the horse. You meet somebody and you automatically start thinking about what your wedding dress gonna look like, or you automatically start thinking about who you gonna pick for some groomsmen. You don't know what this person is at their worst. You don't know where they been, how they react to all things. There's no way to know that, but you can spend some time getting to know them and living some life with them before you go off and commit to something, especially a marriage. Especially a marriage. Unfortunately, love is enough to keep you in a situation. And married people, here I come. Here I come. Because let's keep it entirely a whole book. I know people aren't going to agree with me. I know they're going to throw Bible at me and all that kind of stuff. Here's my thing to the ones that are going to throw Bible at me. Let me just go ahead and throw this out here right now. Especially if you are African American. But this goes for all people of all races, all nationalities, etc. when it comes to being single versus being married. To being just in a committed relationship versus being in a marriage. People in this world used to literally, men picked women that they wanted, got the woman that they wanted, discussed it with the family, and then they were together. There were no licenses. There were no blood tests to be taken. They were married. Our historical roots, black, white, purple, green, otherwise, marriages did not start off with paperwork. Do I think that they require paperwork now and should have paperwork now? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is not the way the bonds of marriage work. There is not anything in the Bible other than verbal agreements for these people to be together. If you got it, where somewhere, please make sure that you give me the Bible, to say the Bible chapter and verse, book, chapter, and verse, where they signed off. Be sure to do that. Be sure to do that. Be sure to do that in the comments. Black people, we were not considered people. Black folks, we were not even considered people. There were marriages before the Emancipation Proclamation. There were marriages in black families before Juneteenth. There were marriages and black families before we were giving our actual independence, our citizenship, our um our rights to even be considered human. There were marriages and families prior to that. Now, I said all of that to say this. Just because you got to say you had a ceremony and you had a marriage license does not deplete the relevancy of relationships that you may experience or see once you are married. because they do not have the legal documentation that yours has. You cannot say, married people, that the way that you handle something is different than someone else. A person who has been married for 7 years cannot tell me that things that they endure or go through are different than things that I go through in my 7-year committed relationship. I did not allow that. This is why. The only thing that me and that person did not share, that you and your significant other share, is legal documentation. Just because a couple is not married does not mean that they are not spiritual. It does not mean that they do not pray. It does not mean that they do not go to God with their relationship. It does not mean that. It does not mean that the two of them did not make a promise to God in order to take care of each other and be together and to work things out. That does not mean that they did not make vows to one another. There was a time when we weren't allowed in churches. There was a time when we weren't even considered as people. So belittling or making it seem as if the reason why you won't leave a situation is because you are married to that person and because of God, the God who sees all, the God who loves us and gave us the ability to make choices. This is the way he gave us. Because you had a ceremony in which you because you had a ceremony and said it in a ceremony versus saying it to one another in front of God, because you included other people in it, you feel as if the way that you move within it is different. We were taught that. We were taught that. We were taught that. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. Saying that you're enduring things because that is your husband, or saying that you're enduring things because that is your wife, is no better than saying that you're enduring something because it's your girlfriend or your boyfriend, because it's your baby mama or your baby daddy. Because at the end of the day, you are still an individual human being. You are still an individual human being. And what hurts you, hurts you. Hurt still hurts. It doesn't hurt me differently because it was done by a spouse. And if it does, please explain to me how. How is hurt different based on your marital status? I don't see how it could be. It seems like with the way that we were taught, it would hurt more. It would be, it would be pain that would be a lot more unbearable because of the way the way that we were raised up, the way that we were raised in order to maneuver in marriages. No matter what your marital status is, you have to be willing to leave. You have to have boundaries set that your partner is very well aware of. And not keep moving the goalposts. You know, if you move it back 10 yards the first time, okay, I get it. Hell, if you move it back 10 yards the second time, not 120 feet, your guard field, but hey. But once you could, after a certain point, it's no longer a football field. After a certain point, it's no longer a marriage. I'm gonna catch some heat for that one. If you keep moving the goalposts, there's no longer a set way that we're doing things. There's no longer consistency because you keep moving the goalpost. You can't expect consistency or change out of another person when you keep moving the goalpost, when you keep allowing more space for more hurt. You can't. You can't. what eventually ends up happening is that you start living a life of hurt. You start operating out of obligation rather than that love that y'all love to holler about. Y'all be calling stuff love that is simply obligation. I made this vow. So since I made this vow, I'm not going to leave, no matter how much it hurts, no matter who's damaged, myself, my significant other, my kids. I made this vow. How many things have you said? How many things have you really? How many things have you told God you was gonna do and didn't do? How many things have you promised God you were going to stick to and didn't stick to it? Simple things, simple little things. But you'll endure hell, high water for another person, even at the expense of yourself and your own faith, your own beliefs, your own boundaries. I said, it's love me or leave me. Love me or leave me. Either we either we set up what is ideal for us and live and love in that space, or leave me and go be happy. Leave me and go be happy. If I cause continuous dismay in your life to where you no longer feel happy as an individual, leave me. Leave me and love me at a distance. Is that what you need to do? But don't, I would hate to be the story, the negative story that you have because you stayed in it out of obligation that was confused with love. Guess what? People still fulfill all their same obligations for you married people. That same documentation that you went and got that makes you feel like your relationship is more important, more special, more legitimate than someone who has not made the step to get married. That same documentation it can be used to require that person to fulfill the obligations, those same obligations, even if they don't love you. Even if they don't love you, we have to be way more, way more. What's the word I'm looking for? We have to be way more, and I hate using words out here on the internet all the time, but we have to be way more intentional when it comes to choosing and the process leading up to, in order to avoid issues once we've made it to the finish line. We have to be way more intentional as far as how we go about building with someone. You can start building with someone before you become exclusive couple. You can start building rapport and things with one another. You can start building communication with one another. The communication skills that fit you the best. You can start before you even get in a relationship. You can start. You can already assess how this person communicates, and find out what would be the best way for the two of you to communicate. You can do all of that prior to. But take your time. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. Get to know that person. Get to know the ins and outs of that person. Know that this person is going to change. Know that this person 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, etc. is not going to be the same person that you first met. And if the core of them, the core of that person is so different to you that they're unrecognizable, Be willing to entertain that the core of them was never what you thought it was. And be willing to do what's best for you and the people that you love, including that other person. Whether that's stick it out, work it out, or whether it's leave and continue on with life, that is strictly up to you. But just try using a different method. Stop letting people tell you that marriages don't work. Stop letting people tell you, put all of their bad experiences off on you. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, and I'm going to talk ahead myself. But if the person is not talking from a neutral space, stop listening. Stop listening. But as always, that's it for tonight. I got that off my chest. Feel free to add comments. Um, feel free to add comments, ask questions, etc. on all my social media platforms. Um, feel free to share this video with anyone that you feel like you need to share this video with. I'm not going over this again. I sound like I'm repeating myself, and one thing I don't like to do is repeat myself. Remember that it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make sure that you're getting yourself checked out. Make sure that you are going to your checkups, etc. If you feel something in your body that does not feel right, please, please, please make sure. I mean, you can pray about it, but that's what he created doctors. Go talk to somebody, get yourself checked out. In observance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, speak out. There's no excuses. No excuses going forward. Say what you mean what you say. Nobody's telling you what you need to do in the case of the situation, whether or not you need to leave, you need to go, etc. No one can tell you that. But speak your truth, speak out loud, say something. And people, if you see it, if you see it, say it. If you see it, say it. Because sometimes there are instances where just someone who's going through it, feeling seen and feeling heard, and knowing that someone is there that cares, makes a world of difference in what they do next. So make sure that you check us out every single Thursday night, say at 7:30 p.m. Make sure that you are following me on all of my social media platforms, which are down here at the bottom at Life According to Cree. Make sure that you are shopping Life the Brand, apparel and merchandise. And make sure that you're taking care of yourself and making sure that you're making room to love yourself first. Like I say every week, people think say as soon as they hear it that it's a selfish thing, but it is actually not. It is not about independence, separating yourself from anything at all. Learning how to love yourself first. Learning how to love yourself first gives you the insight and the ability to love the others around you in the way in which they want to be loved. And so you remember that. Until next time, see y'all.